Hey guys, welcome back to the Max Spence Business Podcast. Today I have a very special guest. But before I jump into that, if you guys like the content I'm putting out, please subscribe, leave a review. It helps out a lot with the podcast. It also helps out with the people that are coming on the show. So today's guest is Aidan. So he's actually a TikTok star. He has 2.6 million followers on TikTok and 63,000 on Instagram. Your handle is Chase Aidan, right? Okay.
Shade, yes.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. So we'll jump right into this. So why don't we start with a little bit? Like an intro, about where you're from and sort of how you got into TikTok.
All right, yeah, I'm actually from a smaller city, Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Um, Kind of the armpit of Canada, not gonna lie, but we make it work here. And it was funny because a buddy of mine got me into TikTok. Just he lives in Toronto, and I had been making, without my knowledge, I had been making TikTok style videos, but I had just been putting them in my Instagram story. And then one day he's like, "Man, you gotta try TikTok. You'd kill it on there." So I downloaded it, and what I was doing on my Instagram wasn't really working for my TikTok. So I was like, okay, I'll do some comedy style stuff, and then it just basically took off from there.
Wow, that's crazy. So how old are you right now?
How old am I? 24.
So you're 24. Okay, awesome. Yeah. So you're a young guy, and this new platform comes out, and you sort of see the opportunity that, like, hey, I can start putting out content on here and reach a vast audience pretty quickly. So how long have you been on TikTok right now?
Since December of 2019.
Okay, so you've been almost a year?
Just shy of a year. Yeah,
Just
10
shy of
months.
just shy of a year. Wow. So yeah, so within a year, like that's if you sort of look at the stories of like other creators, like in YouTube and Vine and Instagram, Logan Paul and all these people, when they jumped onto these platforms, when there was before it was oversaturated, and they just blew up, like pretty much what's happening with you and other people I've interviewed on the podcast. And it's absolutely phenomenal. But behind that, people might see it as like, oh, they got lucky, but behind that there's a lot of dedication and a lot of hard work to get to where you are today. And so like before jumping into that, like what did you work somewhere else, or did you have your own business, or what were you doing beforehand?
Well, actually, I'm still working full time. I'm actually a machinist here in Windsor, and it usually catches people by surprise. Even my agent was like, "You're not doing this full time?" I was like, "No, I have about 45 minutes a day to do TikTok." And they were shocked, and I'm like, am I supposed to be doing this full time? So I feel like I haven't taken the necessary steps along the way to do this full time, because it happened so rapidly that I was like, I put my hands in the air. I'm like, okay, what do I do with my hands now? I don't know what to do.
Wow, that's absolutely phenomenal. And that's the crazy thing. Like probably the majority of people that are seeing, like, because I was going through your page, and you're posting probably 2 to 3 to 4 times a day, right? And
Yeah.
having that consistency, people are most likely thinking like, oh, this guy, like, this is his full-time job. But like you were saying, is like doing a full-time job 40 hours a week, and then coming back and then having to be creative and make your own content is actually pretty difficult to do. So when you first started it, like, did you sort of post a couple TikToks and it sort of took off, or were you sort of at the beginning just like posting consistently, and then later on one of them took off, or how did that sort of work?
Well, I was looking at the platform as like as an Instagram, right? Like, okay, I'll try to make one post a day. That seems to be kind of the average thing to do. And then I was just like, oh, I like this video too. Let me post 2 a day. And then it kind of was consistent like that, probably 1 or 2 a day. And then, I made one video, and then it just took off. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is amazing. It went from like a couple hundred views to like, it had, oh boy, I think it had like over 100,000 views. And I was like, this is the craziest thing that's ever happened to me before. And then I kind of got hooked on that, right? Where I'm like, this is cool. I can do this. So just like every TikTok creator, at one point, they take what people like and they run with it. And they're like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. And I did that for a while. I did a very consistent thing for probably about a month, maybe a little bit less. And then I'm like, okay, people aren't really liking this too much anymore, So I had to change and be a little bit more diverse. I don't want to be that person that's just like he does this and this only, and we only go for him because of this. I wanted to be a little bit more diverse, so I just kind of opened the book, and whatever came out, came out.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So I sort of want to talk about that a bit more, and like really putting yourself out there. So like, did you struggle with that at the beginning, or from Instagram, and you got comfortable with sort of putting out like these comedic videos and stuff of you, with these skits and stuff, like which I've gone through a few, and it, like you're pretty funny, man. Like I've seen some of them, and they're hilarious to watch.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Uh, I've always been like, even through high school, grade school, stuff like that. Like I've always been in the performing arts, and I've always been not the class clown, but more or less the guy that just kind of makes everybody laugh. For I get a kick out of it too. I thoroughly enjoy it, and everything kind of came free flow for me. So whatever you see on TikTok, whatever you see on Instagram, nothing's ever really forced. It's just kind of what naturally goes through my brain that just I happen to capture in a video. My mind's always kind of just at a cartoon level 24/7, and then I'm just like, hey, that's a good idea. Maybe I should record that. And then I will. And that's basically what it was. And that was something that I made sure I stayed through with going through the months of TikTok. Was I would never sacrifice who I was as a creator for, clout. In a sense, I would never just like, okay, I'm going to do this trend because everybody's doing this trend. It's like, I don't really like that trend. I'm not going to do that, because it wasn't me. And there was a bunch of trends that I not missed, but I purposely skipped because I'm like, that's not me. So I'm just going to push that aside and keep doing what I'm doing. So.
Yeah, and 100%, and that's sort of like that helps with building your brand, right? Like that's who you are, and like, there's some people that jump on and they're like they keep up with a lot of trends, but like sort of staying your own course in itself has a lot of benefits, because it's sort of being true to your brand and like who you are as a person. That's what people like, they watch you because you make them laugh, you make them happy and stuff. So staying true to your brand is really awesome, and I like that a lot. So I want to talk about pretty much like the gist of this podcast. I really want to get out of this is sort of advice that you'd give to somebody that's maybe 18 or 20 or maybe 24 or 25, and they're wanting to start TikTok. Maybe they have a job right now, and that they enjoy the job, but they sort of want something more, and they always liked like comedy or making skits or something. Maybe they took drama in high school or something. So what would your advice be? So like with work ethic, dedication, and creativity, to get to sort of your level right now, like what would, like, if you could talk to yourself, like let's say a year ago, and just be like, what advice would you give your older self?
That's a good question. I like that. Basically, like I had said before, just be you. Just be you. That's probably the best thing I could say to start off with. Is like, don't try to act like another creator. Don't try to do the same things as another popular creator. Don't ride the wave of somebody else. In a market that's so oversaturated, you need to stand out. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere. That was the thing. It was like, why follow the trend? Because everybody's following the trend and everybody's just watching the same stuff. It's like, it's like, what's over there? That's shiny, sort of that scenario. You have to catch the eye of somebody that's watching, and you have to be unique, and you have to be different. And that's what I mean. Like, being different is I feel more or less a common thing these days. So it's just finding a niche, finding your lane and staying in it, and just be true to yourself. And then don't jump in and be like, okay, I got to do 4 to 5 posts a day, and I have to, it's just like, let whatever flows flow. Try to be consistent as possible. Don't be like, I make 2 videos one day and then I miss 3 days, and then I make 1 video and then 3 days later I post 5. Like, try to be as consistent as possible, but definitely let the creativity free flow.
Oh, okay, awesome. Yeah, so with that, you like you're saying, you're not really forcing stuff. It's like, and I like, let's say you're out and about and you see something, it sort of makes you laugh, and in your head you're like, I could probably do like a funny little skit with that, and it's like you just sort of create it, and then you just put it out there, right? And you don't really care if it's like, hey, if it does well, it does well. If it does bad, it does bad. But you know what? I'm gonna create. I'm gonna keep creating, and I'm not gonna stop. So is that your sort of mentality?
Yes, and partially no. Yes, in the aspect of, like, I try my best to think like, okay, like, is this going to make somebody laugh? Like, I know it makes me laugh. Like, if I don't laugh at my own videos before I post them, I'm not going to post it, for starters. But I always make sure that it's something that people are also going to enjoy and get a kick out of. But the one thing that they don't tell you about this quote unquote industry is there's a lot of self-doubt when it comes to these videos, especially when it comes to, views. It comes to views, you know. Part of TikTok's little fun game is that everything's run off an algorithm. So, you know, I had at one point, I was getting nothing less than 800,000 views. And then now it's like I'm floating around, you know, 100 plus thousand. So it's kind of dulling knowing that just like some things were really, really funny and then some things are not. And then so you look at it in a grand scheme, especially because it's visual and it's right there and you can see the number of views. It's discouraging when you have, you know, a very simple video that blows up and it took you 5 seconds to make, but then you spend half hour to an hour making a video and then it tanks and you're just like, why did that one do so well and this one that I worked so hard on just, you know, completely fails. So that part of the aspect of like the algorithm, it's always, you have to remember that it's just a math equation. It's not you. Your content is good, your content is still funny, it's just the math equation decided it's not your time. I'm gonna put you off to the back burner a little bit. So
yeah, 100%. And that's like, you see that all the time with like, you know, Instagram or YouTube, or like, you know, you have YouTube and it's like this random video for like 6 years ago gets recommended to you. And then you go through the comments and it's been recommended to like, and it's just an algorithm thing. And that's the thing, right? Is like the hardest bit is just getting your stuff seen. That's the hardest bit. Cause like, you know, you create good content. The majority of people have the ability to create good content. It's just getting it getting it in the front, like getting it in front of the right people is the hardest bit of that, right? Who's going to enjoy that. So with that, so when you go about building your brand now, like when you first started, you know, I know that you have merch now and you've sort of branched out and you're starting to expand. When did you sort of start that process of like focusing more on and be like, okay, I'm going to take this a lot more seriously, and thinking, you know, like I can actually turn this into a business, and you maybe, you know, actually leave your current job and do this full time, or, you know, maybe even move down to LA and be a content creator in LA?
well, I can't say too much on that part because I have some secret stuff that I'm working on. But the merch was the first thing that came to mind. I think I had, and it was a little early, but I'm like, I had like 75,000 followers, and I'm like, can I make merch now? Is this what people do? Do people make merch now? And I was like, you know what? Okay, if I get 100,000, I'll get merch. And I made a post about it, and like people were loving it, and then the next thing you know, it was like, boom, 100,000. I was like, uh-oh, I don't have merch. So when I was actually looking for somebody to do a design, I was asking around. Obviously, I wanted to give somebody commission for the artwork or whatever, but somebody actually did a fan art. They did a little bit of fan art, and it was so good that I messaged her immediately. I was like, hey, can this be my brand logo? I'll give you commission and rights to use it and everything like that, but can I please use it? And she was more than happy. She does all of my stuff. I've talked to her a bajillion times. She's such an amazing, Java Studios is her Instagram handle.
I just want to cut, like, sorry to cut you off there, but you like how amazing what you just said, like how amazing that is. Like, you know,
it was wild.
Like how like for like the like that's just a crazy thing, right? Like somebody just puts out, like she probably didn't have like, you know, 1 million or 2 million followers. She just put out this fan art work just for fun. And that's like just shows, like, if you just put yourself out there, you never know what's going to happen. You know, like if you love a creator and you put out some artwork or something, you never know, they might actually reach out to you. And like this girl must have been like over the moon when you sent her that message being like, and then she's like, you know, then it starts going for her. And then she's like, oh, you know, maybe I can start my own business in art creation or something. It's just like, it's just such a magical and amazing moment.
Yeah, it was like when I received that artwork from her, I think she only had like a few thousand followers. And now she's doing extremely well. And it was because like in the beginning, it was just like, I blew up the video, the people, like it went viral, the artwork. And then she actually made a little cartoon about it. Like her phone was just blowing up constantly because people were following her and liking her stuff because I had shared her artwork and I had used it as my logo, so that she just out of nowhere skyrocketed. And I'm not going to say I'm the source of her fame at all. I'm not going to be that person. She's a very, very, very talented artist, not just through the computers. She's a very good painter as well. But it was a very beneficial for both of us in an aspect of business.
Yeah. What's her handle again? Just in case somebody says like, I want to get some artwork done or something.
Java Studios.
Java Studios. Okay, awesome. So I want to talk about the merch now, because like in this industry, like in your industry right now, it gets very competitive, right? Because there's so many content creators coming out. There's people like with TikTok, it's blown up so many content creators. And everybody's like, the first step is sort of like what everybody sort of knows is like when they get into this is like, oh, should I drop merch? So how have you found the merch side of thing, like the merch business side? Like, was there mistakes you made at the beginning, helping it grow? Like what are some sort of advice that you can give to somebody, maybe if they're at the stage of getting merch?
Okay. It definitely had a peak point. Now, when I had released merch, it was just before quarantine had just been put into place. So I had a fluctuation where it was okay, it was good, and then when I was off for 2 months because of COVID, because of quarantine, like the merch actually kept me financially afloat, and that's how well it did. And that was it, definitely at its peak, but it's definitely 100% died down because of, like you said, a little bit of oversaturation from other creators. And again, it's like if you buy the one or two things from a creator, it's like you have something of theirs. What more do you need? So it becomes the aspect of creating new stuff. But there's only so much a website can give you when it comes to hoodies, t-shirts, sweater, hats, socks. It's that's the hard part, is just trying to be as creative as possible when it comes to coming up with new merch and new merch designs, especially because you want to be diverse. You don't want to be like, you know, just the one picture of you smiling and the hands up, and your name on there. It's got to be different every single time. You have to have like the little quotes and phrases that you use often as well. Those are big hits. If you have like a little thing that you say all the time, definitely put that in a caption and throw that on a sweater. People love that kind of stuff. The thing to stay on top of, and this is my bad, I don't do this, is to stay on top of advertising the merch. I didn't need to when I was in quarantine because it was doing so well, and I was at a very good peak. But now I'm very bad at it. But you have to be consistent with advertising it. Don't push it to the point where it's just like, buy my stuff, please. You gotta be like, hey, I'm having a sale, 10% off, 50% off, free shipping, that kind of fun stuff, and just kind of post it every once in a blue moon. Remind people that you have the merch. Just don't be like, yeah, like I said, just please buy my stuff, I need it. No, just advertise it as it is, and then just every once in a while, when you come up with something good and creative and a new style, just put it out there on a t-shirt, a sweater, and some minor stuff that people can buy. Because that's the other thing too. You don't want your sweater to be $75. You have to have that ratio of, yes, you make a little bit of money of commission, and the person gets a good deal on something. So like some merchandise items that I've made have been like, I make pennies because I just want people to have it. And then the other stuff is just more or less normal price. So definitely shop around for merchandise creator apps. Like there's a lot of, like, I use Teesprings. That's an amazing one. Super, super simple and easy to use. Commission's not crazy on it. So you have to shop around and make sure you're buying something that's ethical and that works well with you as well.
Yeah, 100%. And one of my friends, this was a while ago. He started a clothing line company, like a drop shipping clothing line company. He leveraged YouTube and Instagram, and they did. I think they did quite well. They did like for just like from ground zero, not having like a million followers or anything like that. They each had like a couple thousand, and they did like $9,000 in 3 months. Which it isn't too bad from going from zero to like to $9,000. But the thing they ran into is when they chose, like, because they didn't know that much about like the different types of how clothing's actually manufactured. And the print on demand, which is electronic, is actually if it depends on the company. Like it can be done right, but sometimes it gets done wrong, and it actually after a couple washes it'll just like start peeling. So like all that
Yeah.
stuff will start peeling off. So the best one is actually silk screen press, because like this was a little bit of back a little previously. I was thinking about starting a silk screen press t-shirt making company, but then decided not to go down that path. But with that, so what are the things with the merch? So like you're saying that one website, is it a website, or is it like sort of all in one, like they manufacture and they also ship it out to your customers?
All in one. They take care of absolutely everything. Once you create the merchandise, you can literally set it and forget it. And then just every once in a while, collect your payout. That's literally, it's super, super simple to use, for any sort of creator that is just getting into wanting to have merchandise. That's probably the best website that I could suggest, just because of how simple it is. And then just, you kind of, like I said, you just kind of set it, forget it, and basically it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. With your merch right now, like, do you have plans of turning that into like more of like a clothing line company or something, or are you just gonna keep it more of a merch? Because like, I was looking at what Logan Paul's been doing, and with his brand, he's actually distancing himself from the brand and making
Mhm.
it more of like Maverick, his own, like it's own clothing line, and he's not really like the brand sort of face of it. Like he wants it to be its own brand. So is that sort of something that you're trying to push, or are you still wanting to be very like connected with your merch line?
I feel I'm definitely not at that point where I could say like I'm going to start and I'm going to spitball a name here. Like I'm not going to start a clothing company that's called Glacier at this point, because that has nothing to do with me. That's not really associated with me. Um, Things like that. So like Logan Paul, like that's a big thing for him because he already has the following for it and everything like that. So he has the people that will kind of migrate towards that. Like you said, like without him being the face of it, it's like no, I buy Maverick. I don't buy Logan Paul clothes. I'm 100% not at that point yet. I could safely say that. No, I'm just gonna. I'll I will continue to sell my stuff that has my face on it for the time being.
True, true. So with that, like, are you finding it hard to like, because you've been doing it for a year now, and sort of what I've seen from other creators is like it starts like being creative on a daily basis actually starts to take its toll and is a little bit hard. Like, have you struggled with that at points, or still to consistently trying to come up with like new ideas or something, or have you just been free flowing thoughts?
So there was during my quarantine time, that was the time that I like blew up like drastically because I had nothing else to do in my day besides work out, eat, and make TikToks. So I had all the time in the world and the creative space to do so. And it was actually the time where Call Me Chris and I were like neck and neck when we had followers. And we were both climbing, we were both duetting videos, and we were doing so amazing. And then I went back to work and she worked from home. She worked as a hairstylist, and so she just kept making videos. And there's a clear difference between the two of us right now. She's literally going to hit 10. I guarantee she'll hit 10 million next week or the week after that. But um, I lost that sort of creative space when I went back to work. So yes, there is an aspect of having a good headspace when it comes to creativity. Um, and that's why I am working on trying to do this full time. Like it's this part I can release, but the rest of it I can't. But I do plan on quitting my job in January. Like not giving myself the option of like maybe I'll stay a few more months and save up. But no, put myself in a fight or flight situation. Either I'm going to make it or I'm going to break it. And to be honest, I'd rather make it. So um, when it comes to that, it's like you have to be in a good mental space to be creative. Otherwise, then yeah, your content will suffer. But being creative every single day and having to make videos, yeah, absolutely, it takes its toll. Um, you kind of sit there and you have those days where it's artist block, man. It really is. It's not just with paintings. You get artist block when you write music, when you create videos, when you're a painter, stuff like that. So you definitely have those days where you're like, what am I gonna do today? And then you like that's those the days where your content suffers because that's when it becomes forced. That's when you're like forcing yourself to think like, okay, funny, think of something funny. And then it just kind of comes out as like, okay, that was kind of okay, maybe sure, whatever. So yeah, you definitely have those days where it's not as fantastic and hilarious, as amazing as possible. Um, but it's content, right? So you feel like as if you don't post something, it's better post something than to not, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, in certain aspects, right? You have to maintain that. So um, I got, you have good days and you have bad days. That's just what it is. Some videos are a hit and a miss, and that comes with the algorithm. You may think the video is hilarious and it's going to do extremely well, and then it may not. And then one video that you're like, that's no big deal. I don't care. It'll drastically blow up. Like one of my best videos was a draft I had saved for probably about 2 weeks, and it's the most viewed video that I have. It has, I think the last time I checked, it had 36 million views, and it's the stupidest video I have ever made. It's not even anything creative. I just took a little toy car with my tiny hands. No, I didn't have my tiny hands at the time. I took a little tiny car and put on the split face filter, and it was just, I made cars. There was an audio that had car sounds on it. That was it. There was nothing else creative or fantastic about the video. 36 million views. No idea why. No idea. So again, it just goes to show that, like, some things that you may find are ridiculous may be the thing that rocks the internet. So just make sure you put out something.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Like going back to that bit is like if you look at Dogface, that guy with ocean spray, that video, that video is like he actually, I don't know if you saw him talking about it, but he was thinking, he's like, oh, should I post it? Should I not post it? He's like, maybe it's a little, like he thought it was like, nobody's gonna be really interested, and then he posted it, and that like changed, like just went skyrocketed, and like that changed
Rock the
his,
world.
yeah, like changed his entire life from that one video. uh and
Absolutely.
which is absolutely like crazy to think about. It's just like that one thing, right? So is there anything that you do to like sort of get like the creative juices flowing? Do you go on like walks? Do you go for a drive? Work out? Or what do you sort of do to sort of like, if you hit like a block, like what would you like, like what do you sort of do to sort of try and pull yourself out of it?
There's I would say three things that I would do. Three things I would do is, like, yes, go out and kind of, do a little bit of life stuff and see if something that kind of like you influences some content from that. Whether you're driving, you see something funny, or you're in the store and you hear something, no big deal. Second thing is you reminisce on your life already. So like think about the story. When you're out drinking with some friends and you start reminiscing on stories, and it just ends up being a hilarious night because of that. Think of those stories, think of those scenarios, and you don't even have to use, like, you don't have to be like, hey, it's story time, I'm gonna tell you a story about my life. No, pull that context out and just make it a scenario on TikTok. Be the one guy, and then be the other guy, and then be the friend in the background, and make the scenario like that. That's the last thing is honestly, go watch some YouTube videos, go on your explore page on your Instagram, flip through TikTok. Just make sure that if you have an idea that's based off of somebody else's TikTok, make sure you tag them. Don't be that person.
Yeah.
I've had it happen to me. I made the mistake one time and it was a bad mistake. Just make sure you tag the original person. It makes a world of a difference. But don't always just try to copy. If you find the audio funny, but you have a twist on something that they did, but you're like, okay, I can do it a different way, but it's not their way. I'm not copying them. It's my own way. So flipping through the internet like that always helps. That honestly, like if I'm ever blocked, I'm just like, all right, to the internet.
True. Yeah. Always there's always somewhere to find inspiration. It's just like you just gotta spend a little bit of time looking for it.
Yeah.
So with that, like I know that you're also into bodybuilding as well. So like is that do you think you're gonna mesh that into like some of your TikTok or something, or how, like or is that just like full like hobby right now? That's just something you like to, like a pastime?
A little bit of combination of both. Like bodybuilding was there before I had TikTok. I've been doing bodybuilding for about 4 years now. And it's something that is like it's my getaway, my outside thing, right? Where, I don't think about work while I'm working out. I don't think about TikTok when I'm working out. I don't think about anything else. It's just me, and I'm in the gym and I'm training. I have meshed some of my my gym stuff into my TikToks, but it's like once every blue moon, to the point where it like shocks people. They're like, "Oh yeah, we forgot you're yoked." I was like, "Yes, I literally spend like 2 hours a day at the gym." So people often forget what I do, and it's actually really good for videos when it catches people by surprise. I've noticed that, and when I say my age, when I mention my age, that always seems to make videos a lot better because everybody's like, "You're 24," and I'm like, "Yes, I'm only 20. I'm a child. I'm just happen to have a very large beard."
Nice,
So.
nice. So with that, what are your sort of sort of future like? Well, I know you can't speak about it too much, but did like do you have like aspirations to go into like maybe stand up comedy, acting, maybe going down the YouTube route and going into starting a vlog series or like a workout sort of company or something, or like without saying like anything, like what would
No,
be like
I can definitely talk about some stuff. 100%. When it comes to social media, you kind of want to tab on, you want to have your fingers in a little bit of everything and just make sure you cover everything evenly, especially when it comes to financial stuff, right? Where it's just like, okay, I can make money off of YouTube, I can make money off of Twitch, and I can have a Discord for fun. So you have to keep, when it comes to content creation, you have to keep up with the crowd. You know, I'm not going to start throwing videos on Facebook. Nobody's using Facebook, so you have to, like, yes, I am going to be starting a YouTube. I have a video that I'm editing that I'm going to send to somebody else and have edit. I'm going to have I'm going to do a Twitch stream. I only have a Mac, to be honest. I have a MacBook, so I have to fare with what I can do with that for right now, but I do plan on getting a whole gaming console, and I plan on doing a Twitch stream. When it comes to like moving out and doing some things, like, yeah, I would love to do stand up. I'd love to do stand up. Unfortunately, COVID's kind of putting that bad boy on the back burner for a little bit. But I absolutely want to do stand up. I've had, and even before TikTok, all my friends are like, "Dude, you got to do a comedy club, got to do stand up." And I've always, for some reason, that's the one thing that I am terrified to do. I've stood in front of thousands of people and performed before. Something about comedy, doing comedy and stand up, it just terrifies me because you never really know. But when it comes to leaving where I live right now, the only thing I could say is that I've definitely run my city dry. I think I'm done here. Being in Windsor, I think I've run my resources, and I've talked to a few other creators, and I will be leaving Windsor. I will be leaving Windsor in January as well. So
oh
that's
wow.
but most I can say. But when I do, it's gonna shake the internet because I can tell people have wanted me to go see other creators, but unfortunately, none of them live where I live. There's nobody around me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, with that, like that's like your story is a good success story of showing like, you don't have to be in LA or New York or Toronto or England or well, I mean London or some of these big cities to be successful. It's just like, you just got to put out good content that people like enjoy viewing and be consistent doing it and be creative with what you're putting out, right?
Yeah.
But like you were saying, yeah, like if you're in like if you're in a tinier part of like the world or somewhere where there's not a lot of content creators, it's just a lot harder to do your job, right? It's like if you're in LA, there's so much more opportunity to do collaborations with so many other creators. There's so much other stuff going on, like like that's why I see a lot of like I've been seeing on TikTok a lot of TikTokers moving to LA, right, and sort of documenting their journey of like they went from Ohio or like Michigan or somewhere and traveled down to LA and got it, like rented a place, and then they just started creating more content there and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's basically the goal of what I want to do. Like where I move to, it's basically like, okay, I'm going to make it or break it here. So I'm going to set up everything I need to set up, and as well, and just try to do as best as I can. And the way that I've explained it to people, this is probably the best analogy I can give. Um, all of my pieces of the puzzle are on the table when it comes to my life as a content creator. I can see the picture on the box. I know it's at the end of this tunnel. I can see the picture. I can do this full time. But the only thing that's keeping me from putting the whole puzzle together is my day job and where I live. I don't have the time to finish the puzzle because my day job takes up so much of the time. And now I'm just at a point where I'm like, I need to finish this puzzle or before I die. Like it's just like I have to get it done. And now I'm just at that part of my life where I'm like, okay, not only like a midlife crisis, but like a 20s crisis where I'm just like, okay, I got one trip around this Ferris wheel. I don't get it one more trip. You know, we have one life, and if you don't like something, you have to change it. And right now I'm at that point where I'm like, I don't like anything here. I need to leave immediately. And I'm like coming out of my skin when I wake up in the morning because I'm like, another day, another week, let's go. And just try to get it done and just trying to make it to January so I can just be like, okay, adios. And I'm just going to move on with my life.
Yeah, no, 100%, and I understand that, right? And it's like, and I think personally, I think like that's the best thing to do, because like, when are you gonna have an opportunity like this before? When are you gonna have a platform which is such an early stage right now, and even by January, it's still gonna be in an early stage with so much reach still. That like,
Yeah.
when's another platform like this or another opportunity going to come around when you can reach the amount of people you're able to reach with, a couple posts or a couple videos and stuff. And like, that's how I look at my life as well, is like, are you going to like, I like, if I was in your position, I wouldn't regret it, because you can always go back and get a job. It's like the jobs are always going to be there, right?
Yep. My grandfather put it perfectly. He's like, somebody's got to dig ditches. That's it.
So
There's always
the
going to be a job to fall, because I get the what if from my family, like, what happens if it, I'm like, okay, first off, I don't want to hear the what ifs because I'm going to make it happen. Secondly, if something happens, I have years and years of experience working in many different fields that I would have not an issue getting a job anywhere. Would I get a full-time job again? No. After this, I don't plan on getting another full job again. Full-time job, sorry. But I've done acting before as well. So I had an agent here in Windsor, and I've done a bunch of stuff. I was in a few murder mystery shows. I did a couple commercials. I'm actually on the Discovery Channel, which is cool. So when I move to the area in which I'm going to be moving in, hopefully I can find an agent out there. And then I can actually do that as my part-time job. Like, okay, well, I got a gig. I got to spend the next 2 weeks here in this area, and that's a part-time job, and I get paid from that. So the good thing about that is that doesn't take up enough time where I'm just like, I don't have time for content creation. That whole scenario of me going to do an acting gig is content in itself. So just trying to be in that area and that mindset that everything is content, and just trying to build a life where everything you do is content, and they all feed off each other. You want your Discord to feed off of your Twitch, and vice versa. You want your Twitch to feed off of your Instagram from TikTok, and you want them all to collaboratively come together. And so that way everything just feeds off of everything, and it just is a good cyclical motion of job stability.
Yeah, 100%. And to be honest, like, I think you're gonna make it, man. Like, you've already, like, you've put in the time already, and you've got to a certain level. Like, getting to 2.6 million followers is not an easy task. You've already done it, so you've already proven, like, to yourself and other people that you have the work ethic, and you have the ability to make it as a creator. So I think when you move to wherever you're gonna be moving, I think it's gonna be awesome, and I'm really excited for you, man.
I really appreciate that, honestly. Thank you.
So jump into one other thing. I sort of want to, like, we covered a lot of stuff within the podcast, about your story and stuff. Right now, do you have, like, taking that jump? Do you have any fear with that at all? Like, are you fearful of it all, or how are you sort of managing that?
So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared. That's just a fact. It comes with that self-doubt, of just like, okay, like, I have days where I'm like, I can do this, I got this, no issues. And then I have days where I wake up, I'm like, I am gonna last a week. So there's a constant battle, man. It's just it's actually going to be my next tattoo. It's a quote by Winston Churchill, sorry. But it's fear is a reaction and courage is a decision. So it's completely natural to have these fears of making this jump and having fears in life, but just understand that courage is not a reaction. You can't just be like, okay, I can totally do this. No, being courageous towards something like this is a choice, and you have to make that choice. And it's not just a choice you have to make once. It's you have to wake up every day and have that choice in your head, and you have to live and breathe that choice until it becomes second nature and that fear is gone. So yeah, like I said, I have days where I'm good and I have days where I'm bad. And I think mental health is playing a huge hand in all of this. So it really is just feeding off of my emotions are really feeding off of how TikTok's going. And so like if my videos are doing good, I'm like, yeah, I could totally do this. And then I have had like yesterday and a little bit of today where my videos are not doing so well. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to do this. So, but it's you really have to have the blinders on when it comes to your goals, and just try to really focus on getting to that point. And like I said, having that courage to really to do this. This isn't like just like a fluke. This isn't like maybe I should wear a green shirt today instead of red. Like this is a life shaping opportunity. This is a life shaping choice. The good thing is that no matter what, you have friends and you have family that will be there. Like even the guys that I'm going to be moving in with, they're like, dude, we're going to do everything in our power to, even if something goes wrong, that you're going to be able to still stay here, still be here, and still make content, everything like that. So just the support that I have behind me to do this is super reassuring. It really stems from, and it's funny that you brought that up. It stems from my bodybuilding. You know, I would have never done a single competition had I not had the people to believe in me to do. I'm choking up a little bit. Excuse me. To do bodybuilding. It was the belief of my friends and my family around me that it got to the point where I'm like, they convinced me. They're like, maybe I can do this. Maybe I can do bodybuilding. You know, 3 competitions later, I have first, second, and third sitting right up there. And you just have to go forth with this confidence, but it's always the belief of people that really, really reassure you. You can be a one-man wolf pack, man. I don't care who you are. If you don't have people that believe in you, it's gonna suck. So it's always nice having that support system behind you. And I definitely have that, and I'm very, very grateful for it. I wake up and thank God every single day for it. It's just I got to get out of my own head about it and just be like, Aidan, stop. I got to pull me out and be like, stop, put it back in, and be like, you can do this. You can do this. It's okay. Like you've done everything that I've set out to do this year, just in the collective year. I've done everything that I've said I was going to do. I've done. So I'm just like, what's one more thing, man? You could just put it on the list. It's on there, you know, whether you get to it immediately or not, it's still on the list and you still can get it done. So, yeah, honestly, just a big thank you to everybody who's around me and my followers, not even just friends and family, my 2.6 million family members that I have that believe that I can do this as well. So,
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing, and I think that's an awesome place to end this podcast with those points. Is making sure, you know, having a good support network is key to being successful in no matter what you do or no matter what industry you're in. Is having people that care about you and love you, even, you know, when you're at your worst and when you're at your best.
Absolutely, man. It's a simple concept of, you know, if you want to be a king, you surround yourself with kings, and you too will be a king. It's nice to have those types of people around you. So.
Awesome. So before we go here, you know, plug anything you want to plug. Like where can people find out more about you? You know, your merch, you know, YouTube, anything else that you have going on.
Definitely, I would say the biggest thing is definitely look forward to my YouTube is already up. I just have nothing posted yet, but something will be posted within at least the next 2 weeks. Um, I have a few series on TikTok that I'm going to be doing, my Basically series. My Instagram is my Instagram. Everything's in my links in my bios for when it comes to the merch. And I will try to make some Christmas themed merch as well as kind of update my merch just a little. We got to dust it off a little bit and make some new stuff. So I got to call up my lady and we got to get some new merch designs in. So.
All right. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you again for coming on the show.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. I really, really appreciate it. This is my first time doing something like this. So.
Awesome.